Right.
I left the daf there just
What did you say?
I left it there open.
Okay.
Could you shoot your question?
Yeah, it's Pasha.
You know.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very nice to have Baruch back.
I've discussed with somebody special in the same table. Your references in the same table.
Yeah. Nachon. Rabbi say, I apologize, I wasn't here last week. I couldn't move my neck. I'm serious. It's 85% better, but still not. I understood. How can you say a pain in the neck? Why do I get a pain in the neck? Out of all areas. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, wait. I don't have with me a watch this time. Oh, I do. What time is it now, B'diuk?
9 o'clock.
14 past.
16 past.
16. There's
a technical problem with the clock.
Okay, everybody say. Let's start with this guy. We'll start with the first Rashi. Again, shalom aleichem to everyone. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan. Says Rashi, Achar shekasav lecha yeshuvei Esav v'toldosav b'derech k'tzara. After it skipped through from the yeshuvei Esav, shelo hayu sfunim v'chashuvim lefaresh ech nityashvu v'seder milchomotehem echol rishut achoi. It's insignificant to know the details, exactly what happened there. So the Torah skimmed through it. Piresh lecha yeshuvei Yaakov v'toldosav b'derech haruka. Now we're going to go and elaborate and explain more. Kol gilgulei sibasam, right? Lifi shem chashuvim lifnei hamakom la'arich b'hem. They are important and significant before Hashem to elaborate with them. Good. V'chen ata motzeh b'asar doros shemi'odam ad noach. Similarly, you find with the asar doros shemi'odam ad noach, ploni holit ploni, ukesheba le'noach ha'erich bo. When you come to the gem, you're married. V'chem ba'asar doros shemi'noach v'ad Avraham. Kitza b'hem, u'mishigia etzel Avraham ha'erich bo. Right? Mashal le'margolis shenafla ben achol. It's a mashal to a jewel, a gem that falls in the sand. Adam memashmesh b'chol, the kovro b'kavar, you sift it through a sift. Ad shemotzeh ta margalit, till you find that margalit. U'mishemetza'ah, once you found it, hu mashlich et, so we're going to have to read the Rashi here. Hu mashlich, we don't have it here. It's just a few words. Hu mashlich at the what? At the throats, I think. Okay? Hu mashlich et atzros miyodav v'not el samargolis. So Rabbi say, bon atchil. What do you think Rashi is by the way? When you read this Rashi, what's Rashi by the way? The Pashtus.
It tells you some things.
But what was the problem? Rashi always writes something when there's a problem. What was the nekuda that Rashi was oimen on? L'chu'ura? How come you're expanding so much and you're so short with Esav? And Rashi says, because that's how it is. You go through those who are not so important, you skim through them. And then when it comes to Yaakov, we're marich more. And Rashi says this is not the first time this happened. It's not the second time that happened. It's the third time that happened. So what's the obvious kasha to ask?
Why didn't Rashi tell us this?
So why didn't Rashi say it earlier? The rule is when Rashi sees a phenomenon, he makes us comment the first time, not the third time. By Adam till Noach, Rashi didn't say anything. By Noach till Avram, Rashi didn't say anything. When it comes to Yaakov and Esav, here Rashi says a lot. And he makes a cross-reference to those two. But those two happened earlier, there Rashi said nothing. So Apostle Kashem Pshat. If that's what Rashi is bothered by, why did he wake up only now? Okay. I must tell you, I'm learning this Rashi already, who knows, since I'm every week. It's the first time I noticed this hera. Why is Rashi making the comment only now? Another question. Bishlama with the 10 generations, I understand you got to go through them till you reach what you want to reach. and it's the muscle with the gem and the sand. Makes sense. You want to reach your gem? Fine. Well, you're going to have to go through this sand till you sift it, get it out, and then you find it. Similarly, you want to reach Noach? You can't start with Noach. You got to start with Adam Rishon. And 10 generations, that's what you got to do. You want to reach Abraham? You can't start with Abraham. You got to go through his ancestors. If you want to reach Yaakov, you got to go through Esav. Why? He's not a father, he's a sibling. When it comes to a sibling, you don't have to go through the sibling first. So the mashal here, the mashal of a mashal of margalis, shenafla adam mashal ad shemoitza is a margalis. So that I see clearly how it's applicable to those first two examples. You want to reach the descendant number 10, so you got to go through the lineage till you reach it. That's what happened from Adam to Noach, and that's what happens from Noach to Abraham.
Yaakov and Esau was sifting. It was. You had to sift out Esau to get to Yaakov.
So what about Yishmael? He doesn't mention anything about Yishmael here. If that's the Nakuda. And you know what? Even if you're right, it's Eno Doimet to those other two.
You have the same thing in Shemois. When it says the Shvatim, it wants to tell us about how Moshe Rabbeinu was born. So it says Reuben, Shimon, Levi, and then tells you the whole story.
Right.
So I don't think Rashi comments.
No, the Rashi doesn't comment. Good point. Good point. That would be another point. I mean, there's other times that this happened. That's what Rav Kadur is asking. Right? You say Shimon Levi over there in Shmois Perek Vav, and then boom, Moshe. So, I'm sorry?
There we're talking about the sister car. You could have mentioned that.
Yeah, but I'm going to speak about the Leda of Moshe there, and that Perek. Okay? Anyway, a good hour. Another good hour. So here, we have a Rabbi said 2 questions. Question number 1, how come Rashi is making his comment only on the 3rd time, and not when it was earlier? If it's bothering him, this lack of equality, here it's short, here it's long, here if that's the Nakuda that he's bothered by, how come Rashi didn't voice this question already earlier? That's question number 1. And question number 2, well, what do you mean that to reach Yaakov, you got to go through Esav? To reach Noach, you got to go through Adam Rishon and the 10th generation. I understand. And similarly with Avraham. But why, if you want to reach Yaakov, you got to speak about Esav? It's a sibling. You don't come from your sibling, right?
You don't have sibling?
You're not born from your brother.
Right.
Baruch Hashem. Our brothers did enough to us without us coming from them. Can you imagine we would come from them? Okay,
maybe it's to do with the fact who is the Bechor and go into that.
Yeah, Efsher. So let's see what the Maharal says. The Maharal does not ask these questions. He doesn't ask these questions. But he does ask, he says in the Kuda, and according to what the Maharal is going to be learning now, Rabbi Say, it's a totally different Rashi than what we see till now. Legamre acheret. Rabbi Say, where's Michael? Text him, leave us in. No, only if he could come. Okay? Just send him our love. That's all. Why are we sending his love? On Wednesday, 9:22? Good era. Okay, what we say. Let's see what the Maharal is learning. I think according to this Maharal, Rashi is Bechlal addressing a different point. And the whole Rashi is going to be turned around. Let's give a look. The Maharal in letter Aleph. Achar shekasamucha. Pirush. Dahava lemichtav parsha zot lemala etzel vayavo Yaakov el Yitzchak Aviv. Meaning, when Yaakov Avinu finished his journey, okay, apparently, hey, Pasuk of Zayin, it says he made a whole circle, came back home, and after all, what happened to him? And what happened? Vayavo Yaakov el Yitzchak Aviv, Yicharon, and then Yitzchak, and then reports that with the Tira of Yitzchak, right? So says the Maharal, it says he came back to his father. It's supposed to be Vayavo Yaakov el Yitzchak Aviv Mamre Kirsaba. So what happened then? Obviously, that's when he settled down. The Azva Dainit Yashev. Here it says Vayeshev Yaakov Eretz Megar Aviv. So V'lama Yipsik B'Yishmei Esav V'Tol Dosav. Meaning the end of Perek Lamed Hey is speaking about that Yaakov Avinu finally came home. He came back to where he belongs to, his homeland, and he came back to his father, and obviously that's where he settled till they go to Mitzrayim. And that's the end of Perek Lamed Hey. This is the beginning of Perek Lamed Zayin. What do you have in the middle? Shtuparein. We have Perek Lamed Vav. What? We have Esav. So why is he here in the middle? Why is he here in the middle? That's the question. Meaning, why are you doing it Aleph, Beis, Aleph? Why are you doing it that way? Yaakov, Esav, and back to Yaakov. You already mentioned that Yaakov Avinu came home and he came to his father. You already mentioned that. So that's what it should have been. Vayeshev, Perek Lamed Zayin should have followed immediately Perek Lamed Hey. V'lama yivsik b'shvei Yosef v'toldotav v'tiretz tuhu. So what's the answer? Now that we understand the kasha, what's the answer, Rashi? What would you say? If the kasha is, you ended up Perek Lamed Hey that Yaakov Avinu came home. He reached his destination. He's home. He's going to be populated here. He's going to live here. This is where he is. There it should have said, Vayesh Yaakov Eretz Mogravi Beretz Kan. That would have been the natural flow from the end of Perek Lamed Hey. Why did you shtuparan Esav in the middle? Good kasha. So what's it there?
It's to emphasize the dark soul.
If the kasha is, he already says he came home, so why mention everything he came?
The mashal is very strange though.
Rashi is very strange.
The mashal, because the mashal is that they're all mixed up. The dam is mixed up.
So boy say, I'll tell you, I'm just trying to think how to say it. What's the way to present it? Should we look at the ground? Meaning, if that's the kasha, what's the teretz? The kasha is, Yaakov already reached home, he reached his destination, so it should have said there. Then he sat down and Beretz Gan.
The Torah wants to emphasize the way it deals with Esau, which is very bekitza. And it's showing the difference. So
Yeah,
first it deals with
I know.
Esau in just one paragraph. And then you've got Yaakov.
Is there a need to show the difference in Yaakov and Esau? Well, we haven't any need to. He got the brachas. He's a tzaddik. He's a rasha. There's a need, and you're making a tzushta to the previous stories as well. As ma koreh po. I'll tell you the way I understand what's going to happen here. But we're going to let's go to the Maral letter Gimel. Adam memashmesh b'chol v'kovro. How would you say memashmesh in English? Fields. Okay.
means.
Okay.
Palpates.
Good. Let's look at the Gemara here. V'im toima. Question. V'arihigdim parshas vayetze or parshas vayishlach shemedabrim b'nei Yaakov. V'lama lo higdim et Esav? If you want to say that Esav has to come first, before, so why? Again, Perek Lamed Gimel, Perek Lamed Daled, this is all about Yaakov. You already started with Yaakov. So here's a new kasha. V'lama lo higdim et Esav? How come Esav doesn't, right? You're saying that Esav has to come first, so Esav should have been mentioned before Pashas Vayetze. V'lama lo higdim et Esav? So that's a kasha. Ve'en's a kasha, says the Maral. Tarei hamashal hu kasher mitarev hamargalit b'chol levi kabara v'kobro. The mashal is when the gem falls into the sand, he sifts it. V'achinami dafka keshenittarvu yachad, what Rav Kaduri said. It's dafka when they mix with each other. Ve'ein eruv liYaakov and Esav. Yaakov and Esav are not mixing with each other. There's two individuals. Ele yeshuvehem. They're descendants. The derech achim shenodu ba'aretz להיות יושבים יחד ואוחזים באחוזת אביהם יחד. That's normal. לפיכך קודם שסיפר יישוביהם עדיין אין עירוב. Before you not tell me about the subsequent generations, it's not called an עירוב yet. ויכול להקדים את יעקב, then there's no problem to mention יעקב first. אבל אחר שבא לספר היישובים של יעקב ותולדות עשיו. Here in Parshas Vayeshev you want to speak about Yaakov and his descendants and the Shvatim and Yosef and the whole story. You know, this V'yesh lachshov ki esem nityashev im Yaakov shar yachimem. you might think that Esav's here also. Umurav Yaakov and Esav binyan Yeshuv. Maybe he's here together with them. Meaning, point number one, there's an urgency now to speak about Esav. Why? Because now that you're going to speak about the generations, and if you're not going to speak about that Esav is somewhere else, I'll think he's still here, and they're sitting together with each other. But I want to separate them. Why? We'll see in a minute. You might have thought that Esav was here also.
He went to Edom.
That's what it says in Perek Lamed Vav. But that's the need Perek Lamed Vav. That's exactly this point, Ari. If Esav wouldn't have been sorted out, it's inevitable that he won't have a grip on Eretz Yisrael as well. ולפיכך צריך כתוב לומר כי היה לעשב בתולדותיו ישרים לפני עצמם מפני כל כוונת הכתוב על יעקב ובניו לספר מהם כל אשר הגיע להם. לכך מקדים הכתוב יישובי עשב ותולדותיו, כלומר אלה יישובי עשב ותולדותיו, והיה להם יישוב לפני עצמם. ואחר שסיפר לך בקצור מהם, מתחיל לספר בישיעקב ותולדותיו באריכות. What's the Bible saying? He started asking maybe Esav should have been already before Parshas Vayetze. He says no, before they get mixing up with each other, that's when I have to separate them. Okay, why is it so important now to separate Esav? As long as Esav is not sorted out, he has a legal and moral grip on Eretz Yisrael. He's also a son of Yitzchak, and he deserves a Yerusha. The only way to make sure that Yaakov is the only one who has a grip on Eretz Yisrael, you have to first make sure that Esav has his place, and he went there, and he's sorted, and he has his own destination. Therefore, here comes the need. Meaning, when they're about to be mixed up with each other, and that's not Yaakov and Esav, but when their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren are starting to come, and they're starting to be an issue, here it's important to say that Esav was sorted out in Har Seir, Eretz Achoiri, he's sorted.
It says he went to Har Seir even before that.
Where?
At the end of Perek Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Tes Zayin.
Gimel Tes Zayin. No, but does it say, no, bullshit. It has to say that he got a land to live there. He inherited a land. It's his. That's what it means. Not that he went, it could be he went to Australia, but it's his, because Baruch gave it to him. Right?
So he separated him.
Then separate him. Look, the Ram's going to go on and prove it a little bit more. וכן תמצא שאומר הכוסוף, ואתן לעשב את הר שעיר לרשת אותו, I gave Esav Har Seir for an inheritance, ויעקב ובניו ירדו מצרימה. אמר לך הכתוב, אחר שעשב גם כן הוא בן יצחק, אי אפשר שלא ניתן לעשב ארץ לרשת אותו. שאם לא כן היה ראש הארץ עם יעקב. אף על גב דכסיב, כי ביצחק לא חזרה ולא כל יצחק, wasn't Esav already excluded? זהו אחר שנתן הקדוש ברוך הוא לעשב את הר שעיר. It's only once Esav got his share, כדי שיש יעקב בארץ, אבל אם לא נתן לו הר שעיר, היה ירוש גם כן יעקב. הבן יצחק היה, שנתן לו את היצחק הארץ, ואף בני ישמעאל היורשים, אם לא שנתן להם אברהם מתנות ושלחה ממנו בעודו חי, כמו שאמרו ברסנו ובשסבא ובחי יסע. ויצחק לא נתן מתנות לעשב. לפי כך יצחק דין תחילה יישובי עשב ותולדותיהם, ואחר כך אלה יישובי יעקב. Rabbi said, what's the Rambam saying? I said, all the years I just read the words, I never really got the punchline. I never noticed there's a need for a punchline. But now I understand what I think I got the punchline this year. What's the kasha that Rashi is dealing with? Again, the first Mara, what's the kasha?
Why they mixed up?
Aleph Beis Aleph.
B'diuk. Aleph Beis Aleph. It should have been Aleph Aleph. You know what he's answering? Esav was mentioned also for Yaakov's purpose. It's Aleph Aleph Aleph. It's not that I went to speak about Esav just for the fun, and I switched channels. Remember there used to be television? And you switch channels from one program to another? That's what I understood initially. You started with Yaakov, you switch channels to Esav, and then you're back to Yaakov. That's very strange. Answers the Maral, no, I'm always with Yaakov. But if Esav won't be sorted out, Yaakov will be Esav will be a pain in the neck for Yaakov. We have to sort out Esav, not for Esav's sake, for Yaakov's sake. Meaning Esav was mentioned here, not for himself, but he was mentioned here to sort out Yaakov. What's my proof? Rashi's saying, as a proof now, like you saw by the 10 generations. When you want to reach your goal, you sort out the means you can do quickly, and then you reach your destination, and you elaborate. That's what happened 10 generations from Adam to Noach, and that's what happened 10 generations from Noach to Avraham. Rashi's mentioning these two other examples as a raya to his point, not as another example to his answer. Again, Nochamo. The Pashup shot learning Rashi is this. I'm telling you, Richard, this is Kedat to say to Rav Friedman. Maybe I'll come for the dessert, so don't say until I come to the dessert. I need you to sign it, Richard. The Chatima. The Rosh Yeshiva of Keren B'Yavne is coming this week, Mitzvah Shem, to London, and Mitzvah Shem, and a few families are hosting him, and one of them is Richard. What's your Hebrew name?
Yes.
Yosef. Yeah. How does he call you, Rav Friedman? Richard or Yosef? It's a good kasha. It's a good kasha. Rabbi said, let's go back. But Pashas, everybody understands. Rashi's bothered by. How come you're so short with one and you're so long with others? Why are you so short with Esau and you're so long with Yaakov? Says Rashi, that's how you do it. Those who are not important, you skim through, and those who are important, you elaborate. I'll bring you. I have two other examples to show it. I have an example from Noach, and I have an example from Abraham. If that's what Rashi was bothered by, we had a Gavaldik, I think, Haram Shad, so Rashi should have said it earlier. By Adam and Noach, by those two examples. Why did he wake up only in the third example? So that's not what Rashi's bothered by. Rather, how come he's not bothered by that? Then you figure it out on your own. That's passionate. The ones that you want to elaborate on, you elaborate. The ones that you just have to skim through, you skim through. That's not a kasha. It's pasha the Torah will do that. Those who are chashuv, you're going to elaborate by them. Those who are not, you're going to sift through until you reach what you want to reach. I don't need a Rashi for that. I could figure that on my own. But what Rashi is saying is, why do you stick an Esav in the middle? He's in the middle between Aleph and Aleph. Why do you stick him in the middle? The answer is, it's also for Yaakov's purpose. That's enabling Yaakov to get a grip on Eretz Yisrael by himself.
Because Esav's out of the way.
Because Esav is sorted. That's the word.
That's the point.
Not other way. Sorted. If Esav wouldn't have been sorted, he has a right on Eretz Yisrael.
Can Esav turn around and say that it was done?
We'll see in a minute. And he brings an example with Yishmael also. Also, Yishmael was sorted. How was Yishmael sorted? Not by land, but Avraham Avinu gave him millions and millions of what it says there, matanos. He got a share. Okay, now Rabbi says, so why is Rashi not mentioning the other two? He says, when you're, I'll prove to you that we're mentioning Esav just for the sake of Yaakov, because that's like I'm going so short. Like in those other generations, when I want to reach my goal, so the journey till that goal, we do chik-chak. I want to reach Noach, I go chik-chak till I reach Noach. I want to reach Abraham, I go da-da-da till I reach Abraham. I want to reach Yaakov, I go. That's how come Esav is so short. It's proving the point that Esav was not mentioned out Esav, rather to reach Yaakov. It's a different pshat than Rashi totally.
He couldn't bring out that point earlier.
My problem is here. My problem, Aleph Bet Aleph is here. That's my problem. So I have to touch up that Bet is not Bet, it's right there, Aleph. It's really Aleph, Aleph, Aleph. And I'm proving it to you that Esav was not mentioned as Zich, but he was mentioned just to be a passage to Yaakov. Like those other two examples, when they're a passage, you go skim through them. Right? That's what's going on in this Rashi. But it comes out more into Nekuda. So again, as long as Esav is not sorted, what happens then?
Messy.
He still has a taina. I want to chelik in Eretz Yisrael. Okay. I still have a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. Hi, ask the Maral, but it says already when Yitzchak was two. Ki be Yitzchak el Chazer, be Yitzchak v'lo kol Yitzchak the Gren Adarm. So don't I understand already from the outset that Esav's out? only once he was sorted. That's what he says. That's a more big chiddush here. Again, look what he's saying. What we said.
And there's no concept.
Already when Yaakov came
What?
back from Lovam,
Yeah.
Yosef was living in Vayishlach Yaakov Malach.
Esau was still in Eretz Yisrael.
No, but it
Yeah.
says, no.
Yeah.
The first possible Parsha was Vayishlach.
Esau was in Eretz Yisrael still. He was mechaber his father.
Stay on it. Stay on it. The first possible Parsha was Vayishlach.
You're right. You're right.
He hadn't yet yarshened it. He was only
He
in the
hasn't
Sodeh.
yarshened it.
He
He's
was
there.
only in the Sodeh, not in the
Arts
house.
is Seir's there though. Because what does it say that he went to the Adom?
What the Yaakov says. What the Yaakov says.
But did he yarshen it? Did he get it as a Yerusha?
Ah.
Did he get it as a gift from God? That's mentioned in Perek Lamed Vav. Give a look. What does it say?
That's a chazaka.
I hear
That's
it. One second. Ve'ele bnei Shubal, ve'ele bnei Yishon, eile al Fichon, ve'ele amlochim.
It ends off.
Aluf Bigal, the Moshe Shvoisam, be'eretz achuzazam. Now the game. So what do you want to ask yourself?
I was going to say was that Esav won't turn around later on and say, I was given it, but I didn't
No,
read it.
it's not going to test the question. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Can he change? Can he come back and say, I want it back? Could be.
No,
But that's not the Likud today.
Could he say that he took on the duress?
It could be. It could be. But that's not my sugya now. My sugya is he has to be sorted. Could he still afterwards come with clever lawyers and have legal issues? Maybe.
No, he did it.
Maybe.
He didn't want it.
That's not a good day. But should not
No,
a
but it might
good
undermine the point that he was salted. He says, he's not really
day.
salted.
Okay, but the Brahm's saying we gave him a place. Now, could he still have a legal loophole? Maybe. Yes. It's not the Nakuda. The Nakuda is to enable Yaakov. So here comes the Brahma with a tremendous chiddush. The Haftach of Ki B'Yitzchak Chazera does not kick in till Esav is sorted. Only once HaKadosh Baruch said, "This is your place. This is your inheritance. This is your estate." Now he doesn't have a good inheritance all the way. Right? That's what comes out. It's so important to make sure that Esav, and for that matter Yishmael, don't have any claim on Eretz Yisrael.
Where did he actually give Esau Edom? Where did he give it? It's in Yeshua, says it. Malach was in Yeshua.
No, but it's a possible. But Perek Lamed Vav it says that. You have a log.
Question?
When did he give it?
Esav lakach noshav is wisdom. Yeah. ויקח עשר נושאים ונושאים. כי היה כל שמרה ולא יכלה לעצמו גוהם, ויש מספר זה, הוא אדום.
He went there, but he never got it.
Yeah, that's his place. That's what it means.
Vayeshev. He stayed there.
He said it. What?
Last possible the Parsha. If it says that as a chazaka, he must have got it as a chazaka.
It says Zachuza. So you got a Zachuza. Okay, shkoyach. My boy said, why is it so important to make sure that no one else has a grip on Eretz Yisrael?
First Rashi in Chumash.
Okay, first Rashi and Chumash. But that's Shiva Amim, the Shiva Amim.
Everybody was.
Everybody. Okay? But first, let me just show you again the letter of Hutner. Today was his yard side, which I'm sure you all commemorated in your very special way.
We didn't say that.
44.
45.
45?
I'll tell you why, because we got married 10 days later, and we're married for 45 years. Then I have to know. Then I got to know very clearly. I'm sorry? 1990. Yeah, 100%. I remember I was there. I was at the Levaya. I went through it. Look what he says here, Rabbi say in letter Lamates, and please show this to all your Haredi friends, if you have any Haredi friends. Give a look. This is the Iggeret Lamates by the mere fact that the Iggeret that follows is men. We're on page 3 now. We're going to come back to the round in a minute. Someone asked him a question. That it says when Avraham Avinu was asking about Me'edah Ki Rishena, which means he's asking about Eretz Yisrael, Rav Hutner understood it in the Maimar. He's asking about the eternity of the children. So someone asked him, "No, he's not. On the children, he believed Hashem. He's asking only about Eretz Yisrael. Me'edah Ki Rishena. He's asking about the land, not about the children. That's what someone asked him. ועל זה התפלאת, כי אדרבה במפורש במקרא, שלא ביקש בירור על הבטחת הבנים, he didn't ask a clarification regarding the הבטחה of the בנים, והבירור שביקש לא היה אלא על הבטחת הארץ, was only regarding Eretz Yisrael. מטעם כמוס אינני מוצא לנכון להשיבך עכשיו על זה. I have a secret reason why I'm answering you now, only now. Apparently it was a few years later. So like, what happened meanwhile? I don't know.
He was punished for this, though.
What?
Everyone was punished for this, for the question.
Yeah. Dalacha. Look at it, it says here by the arrow. Ki ikar nitzchius kiyuma shel Knesset Yisrael. The reason that we will be established for eternity, eino novea, does not emerge ella, but only naftachat haaretz dafka, because we were promised Eretz Yisrael. Ve'il malei, just means like in simple Hebrew, ve'im. Ve'im ha'ita aftachat habanim ba b'li aftachat haaretz. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have promised Avraham Avinu they'll have children not intertwined with Eretz Yisrael, lo haya muchach mizeh hanetzach Yisrael. There would be no hechrech. How would you say hechrech in English?
Necessity.
Necessity to say this Netzach Yisrael. You're not going to live forever? Because when Avraham Avinu was promised to have the Jewish people, it was always intertwined with Eretz Yisrael. Lezaracha eten et haaretz hazot. It was always together. Haftachas habanim and haftachas haaretz. If they would have been separated, there wouldn't have been Netzach Yisrael. And then he proves it. Ki gam leYishmael nitna haftacha shel pi urvia. Also Yishmael had haftacha to be fruitful and multiply. Umikol makom, nevertheless, mikivan shelo hayta lo haftachat haaretz, since he was not promised Eretz Yisrael, en kan inyan shel Netzach Yishmael. There is no issue of Netzach Yishmael. They will not live forever. Dok v'timtza. ומה שכתב בקונטרס, שביקש בירו על הבטחת הבנים, הכוונה היא דווקא לנצחיותם של הבנים. וזה קשור אך ורק בהבטחת הארץ. And number 2 downstairs brings the pasuk, צור לאברהם הרבה יצאכם כחומי השמיים, ונחלו לעולם. Okay, here Rav is saying, in the most clearest way, that you're not coming to this Netzach Yisrael? You're not coming, we're living forever? What's the reason? Because we're promised Eretz Yisrael. Did you ever hear that word before in your life?
The Rav mentioned it here
A few times. Did you ever hear that before in your whole life till today? In my yeshiva shechinuch, I never heard it. I heard we're here because of Torah, which I'm sure is also true. Torah, mitzvah, you name it. That we're here because of Tachas Haaretz? Because Am Yisrael was promised Eretz Yisrael? That's like we're going to live forever. And Yishmael doesn't have Nitzchias. Where does Rashi say explicitly that Yishmael doesn't have Nitzchias? Very good, Yitzchak. I should have said 5 pounds. I was about to say 5 pounds. You're saving the money. It says, Shnei Masar Niseim Yolid, at the end of Parshas Lech Lecha, which literally means he'll have 12 princes. It says Rashi, Niseim also means clouds. It's supposed to be the Mishnah, Niseim v'ruach, like Yeshamayim. Ka'ananim yichlu. They will evaporate like clouds. It's in the middle of the bracha to Avraham Avinu to give such a klala. Avraham Avinu said, you have a chumash chavah, let's give a look. Let's give a look. At the end of Lech Lecha. Look what it says there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me he's going to have a son, which will be Gavaldik. So Yishmael says, I'm happy with Yishmael. Right? Look at Perek Yud Zayin Pasuk Yud Ches. Vayomer Avraham el Elokim, Lo Yishmael yichel lefanecha. Vayomer Elokim, no, v'sarei shtchei lo t'lechaber, bekrat et shmo Yitzchak. ולישמעאל שמתיך. הנה בירכתי אותו, והפרעתי אותו, והרביתי אותו. במאוד מאוד. יש לך מיני חומש? You know, it's okay, it's just one picture. מאוד מאוד, 12 נסים יוליד, ונסתים לגוי גדול. Right? Says Rashi, what does Nisei mean? Ka'anim yichlu. Isn't that a klala in the middle of the bracha? Yishmael, Avraham Avinu cares about Yishmael. He says, Yishmael's good enough for me. He's going to be a great nation. He's going to, wowee, and it'll evaporate like clouds in the middle of the bracha. You know what he means though? He'll get Olam Hazeh in its fullest. But the whole Olam Hazeh is temporary. Ka'anan poreach, like we say on Yom Kippur. He's going to get it all in Olam Hazeh. Or Olam Hazeh he's going to get it. And the Maral says of them Meferish, where did Rashi get it from? Why are they called Nisim? Why aren't they called Shvatim like the children of Yaakov are called? A more common name. And we know that Shvatim live forever. On that thing where it says them over Basur, Gmiri, the Lokanga Shifta. We're taking away from them the title Shevet. Shevet means eternity. Ani Hashem lo shiniti v'atem b'nei Yaakov lo chilisim. The Rashbam quotes that pasuk in Malachi. So Memele Rabbi say, the point is, Yishmael, there's no Netzach Yishmael. And who knows, I said in the past, it's just a feeling, I don't have any proof of this. Maybe they're fighting with us about Eretz Yisrael because they know that's our edge. They're from Avram, we're from Avram. They got a bracha, we got a bracha. But there's one thing we got that they didn't get. Haftarah is ours. And they're trying to get this also. By taking it. It won't help. But Rabbi say it's such an important nekuda that we want to make sure that Esav and Yishmael get their hands off of Eretz Yisrael. Because if you hold on to Eretz Yisrael, you're holding on to the Mitzvah. Now, Rabbi said, what could anybody be me a proof that Eretz Yisrael is Nitzchias? It says here a pasuk. הרב כדורי עוד כמה דקות, הרב כדורי עוד כמה דקות כוחתנו חזרה לבסיס. סרול אברהם זכם חולאות ונחלו לעולם. Where else? Do you have another proof, guys? What were you saying? על האדומה שנשבע השם למסכם לססם. So where do you say that it's this? Here it says okay, according to Rashi. Right.
Kol Yisrael Yisrael.
Kol Yisrael Yeshem Chelik L'Olam Hashem Avav Chilam Tzadikim. Rabbi say the Gemara says in Maseches Brachas and Daf Nunzayin of Ches on the pasuk of L'cha Hashem Agdula Gevura V'Atfers V'Hanetzach. Says what's V'Hanetzach? So Yerushalayim. That's what the Gemara says. Meaning the Nitzchias of the Jewish people. Netzach means eternity. Yerushalayim. The politicians always say. Biratenu hanitzchit, our eternal capital. Biratenu hanitzchit. They have a Gemara. V'hanetzach zeh Yerushalayim. So I say it's just you don't have to stay with this. If you want to give it back, you give it back. But if you want to stay with this Rafotner and show it to your Haredi friends. Because I never saw anyone say it so clear like he does. Then once I heard it from him, I found out that it's written almost everywhere. It's kimat everywhere. It's a conversation. I once had a conversation with Rafutna about this. On this Sukkah, that how come we weren't talked about in yeshivas about Eretz Yisrael enough? At least my yeshiva experience. Maybe you guys had a different experience. To speak about not Medinat Yisrael. Medinat Yisrael, I understand, is an issue. Two opinions. Fine. Eretz Yisrael is not a controversial issue.
Yeah, but the two are conflated.
So he told me because young people will get confused. But when you're like 24, 25, of course you got to think about this. He says our whole tefillah is about Eretz Yisrael. Of course, once you get a little bit older, you got to start understanding that Eretz Yisrael is a pillar of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's, you know what it means? That's where the couple lives together. That's really what it means.
Mitzvahs Atlus Ba'aretz.
Mitzvahs Atlus Ba'aretz. And again, for some reason, again, I know that. But this letter of Avotner, Igeres Lamates, is, I found it afterwards, the Maral says it in verse Hashem Perek Ches, and it's even earlier than the Maral, much earlier. We are going to live forever because we were promised Eretz Yisrael. By the way, even if you don't live in Israel, you were promised Eretz Yisrael. Of course. You are the Mekabli Haaretz, even if you live in Australia. That's you're not mafkia, you're kidding, chas v'shalom. But to know that, like when I walk in the Eretz Yisrael, in the streets of Eretz Yisrael, I got to tell myself from time to time, because of this land, we're going to live forever. There's something about this land that guarantees its recipients to live forever. And we're the only recipients. Esav sorted, Yishmael sorted, Shalom. You got what you needed, goodbye.
What did Yishmael get?
Matanis. Right. Everyone got their share, goodbye. Eretz Yisrael now remains solely for Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Azar. But again, the main point I want to bring out today is I want to learn also the next Maral, but okay, Azov, that the Nekuda is the Rashi is coming from a different angle totally than simply understood. He was bothered by its Aleph Bit Aleph, Esav in the middle, and he says Esav was mentioned just for the sake of Yaakov. And I'll prove it to you, because that's a come, he's mentioned so shortly, like by the 10 generations of twice. So if you're just skimming through to reach your destination, you do it chick-chack. Sama Shomer Rashi. Rashi Acher Legamrei. In the Shemer Brachos of this Rashi is Ponim Chadoshes. Ponim Chadoshes is Rashi. Okay, Rabbi Isaac.
You say as well, that's why Rashi mentions it on this particular pasuk, whereas on the surface his main point should be on the next pasuk, where it says Eya told the here he's talking about the issue.
Very good point. Very good point, Rabbi Isaac. Shkoyach. Rabbi Isaac, next week is Chanukah. Any reason not to learn? Adrabah. Okay, so set it over. So, Rabbi, so keep this open and message for next week.